majority of life's adversity. Quote, sometimes success is simply a matter of hanging on when others would be letting go. Why? Because when facing adversity, we overthink. We seek to pull out solutions far greater than they need to be. Mere mortals thinking we need to perform miracles and defy laws of nature. No, couldn't be further from the truth, and here's why. Imagine a rope taut above your head, like a clothing line or zip line. That's the idea. Let's say 8 or 9 feet off the ground, and you, along with 2 others, jump up and grab it with both hands. You're all now hanging there, holding on tight, feet dangling. Who can hold on the longest? At first, it doesn't feel like anything. It's easy. But then, you feel it. And when you feel it, you seem to feel it all at once. As though the floodgates opened and the discomfort came pouring in. An avalanche of, oh man, I don't want to be here. And that initial shock alone is enough for one of those with you to let go. Boom, gone. And then there were 2, holding tight. The game has now entered the realm of the psychological. Your mind is racing, scrambling, searching for off-ramps. It's thinking about how much time is left. You're making micro adjustments, playing with the grip on the right hand and the left, back and forth. The pain has greatly intensified. This is now a game of sheer will. Not who can, but who wants it more. Out of your periphery, you see the last remaining person groan and let go. And just like that, there was one. You alone. And you ask yourself, as you let go and land on the ground, what created the success, the victory? What brought forth the outcome? Consistency, adaptability, holding on. See, this is how I view most meaningful pursuits. It's not that most people couldn't. The task is relatively straightforward. It's that, 1, they've not embraced the discomfort, and 2, they're asking more of themselves than required. There's no magic trick that fixes or short tracks the hell you're in hanging from that line. The objective is simply to hold. To be okay with your lats and shoulders and knuckles burning. To know that it's not forever. So make the little adjustments, grit your teeth, and know you're capable. And when you're in those moments, please hear me. Don't overcomplicate that which is simple. To win is to not let go. It's to make the micro adjustments and alterations and stay in the game. That's the goal. Stay in the game. Keep fighting. Hold on. All this talk about other people being the problem, the world being the issue, fate being the adversary. No, my friends, more often than not, we take ourselves out of the game. We cripple ourselves and the opportunity before us. And I know it's not easy. I know it doesn't feel good. But here's the thing, it will. As was once said by Lance Armstrong, pain is temporary, but quitting is forever. See, you hold on to that rope, you endure, there is an end point. However, you bow down and let go, well, you get to carry that pain around with you for the rest of your life. That question, what if I just found a little more? What if I listened to my soul and not my racing mind? You can endure the depths of hell. That's not the question. The question is, will you give yourself permission to? Will you open the gate and unleash your greatness into the world, into a world that needs it, by the way? Because it's not a matter of going out and acquiring. It's a matter of simply hanging on until it comes to fruition, through the doubt, through the hardship, learning through the struggle, converting obstacles into opportunities, while most would be letting go, while most would be looking to their left and right and saying the cost is more than I'm willing to pay. If you want to change your life, if you want to change the world, that is the path. It is the way. The question, when your mind screams, your heart races, and the ground seems to shake, will you simply hold on? So the other day, I had a moment. I was walking out of Walgreens, just grabbed some stuff, was moving through the parking lot, and I paused for a brief second and just looked at my car. Now, a little bit of a preface here so that you know I'm coming from the right place, right? I think those of you who've been listening to me for a while, you know I really don't delve into like money or material things, not because I think they're bad, right? Or because I don't like them. Money is great, makes life a lot easier, but more so because they're not really what lights me up, right? And in fact, I think they're a byproduct of the important things, right? It's like if you do the important things right, then the money usually follows. And so I like to spend my time talking about the quote-unquote important things. But for the first time, I spent a little bit of money on my car. I'd been investing everything back into the business for about 10 years now. And the convo with myself went like this: Eddie, you're in your mid-30s. When are you going to live a little bit, right? It's like, what are you saving for? And so I did. And back to the moment, I'm standing there in that Walgreens parking lot looking at the car, and something dawned on me. And I think this is where the magic is. 10 years ago, I was worried about rent, right? I had very little other than a laptop and an old dynamic microphone that I would take with me into bars, when I was playing my set with my acoustic guitar. And it's like, think about what you flipped that mic into. Because that little mic was your starting point. And here's, where I think the value is. You can take that little mic and see it as a piece of equipment, an amplifier of your voice, something used to record, a tool, right? Or you can see it as a portal to the universe, as something that can transform your reality as you currently know it. That mic was flipped into a recorded speech. My recorded speeches were flipped into a YouTube channel and a brand. The YouTube channel evolved into speaking opportunities. The speaking opportunities evolved into creating a supporting staff, placing incredible people around me, right? Those people, that team has helped me create scale and reach hundreds of thousands of people every day, and on and on and on. And from that continued evolution, right, that continued leveling up, comes the car that I'm staring at in that parking lot, a reminder of where I started. I can draw a direct line from that cheap dynamic mic that you'd have to hit against the table to get to work, to turn on, to that moment in the parking lot. Growth is seeing value where you are and trading up. It's looking around you and seeing not what is, but what all that can become. See, I've used this metaphor before, but I think it applies perfectly here, right? Fantasy baseball. I'm going to nerd out on you. Right? After college, my friends and I, played for a few years to keep in touch. And believe it or not, I learned a ton from it. And so in a nutshell, this is how you win. You see the value where you are. Value that hopefully your opponents do not see, right? You find that value, you highlight it, and ultimately you trade up. Every player is an opportunity. A little dynamic microphone. Right? The question is, can you turn each one into your dream car? Right? So, quick example, player on your team is wildly overperforming, right? This person hit 8 home runs in 2 weeks, but this guy isn't a home run guy. He has a 9-year track record of not really hitting home runs. So sure, there's a chance that he suddenly improved, possible, but more than likely it's an outlier, right? So you seize the opportunity. You shop the guy to everyone around you while his value's high. You try and trade him. See if you can get 3 players for him that are currently underperforming, right? Squeeze the value from the moment. Take what's around you and trade up. And I won't go too far down the road on that example because I know how niche it is, but I want the concept to be clear. There's always an opportunity around you to identify value and transform it into the next stair of the staircase. It's always there. What you need is always around you. We just don't recognize it. We forget to look. I heard Gary Vee say years ago, or posed the question years ago, what is the ROI of a basketball? Gary said, well, for me, it's not very much, right? I'm a pretty short guy. I'm not a basketball player. What's the ROI or the value of a basketball to LeBron James? Literally billions of dollars. Right? But what's the value or ROI of a piano to LeBron? Not much. Right? What is it to Alicia Keys? Again, a lot. Right? And so in our own world, it's looking around and identifying what those things are and attacking them, capitalizing on them, right? The mic, the basketball, or the piano. Maybe in your world, it's Microsoft Word, it's a paintbrush, it's the gym, right? Could be an infinite number of things. But can you see it as not just minor detail in the great play of your life, but as your ticket to a reality you dream of? Microsoft Word becomes where you tell your stories, which becomes your vehicle to connect with an audience, which becomes your incentive to write a book, which brings you to a speaking tour, on and on. Like, you get the idea. It's trading up from the little fragments of value that surround you. Because if you can recognize them and give them the respect they deserve, you'll see transformation happen. That little mic and the courage to pick it up drove me home from Walgreens that day. It's the reason I'll be speaking in multiple countries over the next few weeks. It's the reason I get to share stories and pour into others with the hope that they do the same in their world. Look around you. There is value. But the question remains the same, right? Are you willing to, 1, identify it, and 2, capitalize on it? Because a future you, walking out of Walgreens in a few years, will be grateful that you did. What if those less than ideal things in our lives, right? So our limitations, our constraints, the aspects of life we consider to be, a bad hand. What if they weren't just things we need to learn to accept or little tragedies we have to live with? What if they were ultimately the aspects of our lives that create the best of us? The elements of our world that push us to our greatness. And this came to mind earlier. I was listening to a book called How to Think Like a Roman Emperor by Donald Robertson. And he explores this point. He talks about Socrates in ancient Athens and how he lived in abject poverty. How, according to the standards of ancient Athens, was not an attractive person by any means. Just seemed to have a lot working against him. And the question that's posed is whether these exact circumstances ultimately created the man that became one of the most important thinkers in history. He implies that his reality and his surroundings shaped his worldview, so it only makes sense for one to conclude that all of it contributed to the life he lived. If Socrates was born wealthy and attractive and all these things, could he have become the man that he became? Probably not. And the reason I love this is because, to put it simply, it reframes those less than ideal circumstances in our lives. Whether it is a personal trait we have no control over or an occurrence we deal with. It's understanding that a lack of ability in one area helps guide us to that spot where we can thrive. A disappointment we encounter helps us regroup and make our way to the thing that is ultimately best. The less than ideal, the things that at surface level seem bad or problematic, they're always working for us to push us towards our contentment and our growth, to our greatness. I can say on my end, it was the turbulence I experienced in my life that created that sense of curiosity for me. It was a lack of understanding that pushed me to write about life, explore the hardships we face, and the resilience of the human spirit through it all. There's a pretty famous Stoic idea that states we can't often control what happens, but we can always control how we respond to what happens. And there lies the power in the understanding that when one door closes, as the saying goes, you are pushed closer to the one that will open for you. You have to decide whether you will find it within yourself to open it. Or will you focus on the lack, the gap, what's not there, what you don't have, what went wrong? See, all those things, the things that most people use as their reason to stop or quit or not go, they can be the reason you lose, or they can be the very reason you win. You find a way. But that means moving forward, trusting there is good to be had, understanding that everything that goes creates space for what truly needs to be there. I understand it's common, right? But it's not just a cliche that adversity creates us, that difficult times shape us. Why? Because we are transformed by the bad and the difficult and that which in the moment does not seem ideal. Because they force us to move further into what we were meant to do and who we were meant to be. Just like Socrates was created from his adverse situation, his brilliance derived from his circumstance, your greatness will be derived from yours. So remember that next time you feel as though you've been slighted by life or something's been taken away from you. While it may feel negative, and I get it, from time to time it does, it ultimately becomes the wind at your back, bringing you where you most need to be.